Alarm bells for former President Biden and those in his orbit who are fighting for his legacy. Politico has this headline: Biden world braces for bookstorm. There is nothing stormy about that man, but you make it stick. Try. Biden allies are already pre-budding some of those books' authors, challenging their framing and questioning their fact-finding approach in an attempt to protect the former president's image. 4 books are set to drop over the next few months. 4 of them. The first one hits the shelves tomorrow. And here's some parts of it. Biden aides warned about Kamala Harris replacing the president. Quote, "You want her? Look at her polling. No one wants her. Forget it. It's never going to happen." Quote. It sheds light on Democrats quietly hatching contingency plans for a deteriorating Biden as early as 2023. It also claims the Biden team, quote, strategized around the possibility that Biden might die in office, end of quote. Former CNN political analyst has a prediction for Biden.
The fact that the Biden inner circle clearly knew he was diminished. They kept him from the media. They insisted to the media he was fine, even while knowing he was not. I have a feeling that by the end of May, Joe Biden and his inner circle are going to even be more persona non grata than they are right now in the Democratic Party.
Boy. So we got to talk about a story that is flying under the radar about the Biden administration. Okay, revelations are coming out basically confirming everything that the so-called right-wing conspiracy theorists said the whole time about what was going on in the White House, right? There was a massive cover-up that Biden was mentally declining, okay? Currently still is, right? But when he was in the White House, they all knew that was happening. Everybody knew it was happening, but they covered it up. Okay, they told us that the videos of Joe Biden getting lost, like obviously getting lost in meetings with world leaders, talking about meeting with dead people, getting lost on stage with Obama, being carried out. Oh, that's cheap fake, right? That's cheap fake. Don't believe it, right? It's not real. Don't believe your eyes, right? This is what the Democrats and the mainstream liberal media told us. Now, fast forward, just what? 2 or 3 months into President Trump's administration, Biden's now out of office. They're telling the truth and saying, yeah, the right-wing conspiracy theories were correct, okay? And Democrats, liberals are coming out and saying, yeah, I feel lied to, right? I feel like I was lied to about Joe Biden's mental condition. And I find this to be a very fascinating story because this is, once again, a I told you so moment in which, again, the so-called right-wing conspiracy theories were correct. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
So just how worried were Biden aides before the former president's disastrous debate last summer? According to Klain, his chief of staff, his concerns could not be overstated. The former Biden chief of staff spoke to the journalist Chris Whipple for his new book that details last year's unconventional race. And just 4 days before the debate, Klain recalled that Biden didn't know what Trump had been saying and couldn't grasp what the back and forth of the campaign was. And at his first meeting with Biden for debate prep, quote, Klain was startled. He'd never seen Biden so exhausted and so out of it. Biden was unaware of what was happening in his own campaign. Halfway through the session, the president excused himself and went off to sit by the pool.
Now, it's so crazy to me how you have all of these Democrat and liberal operatives basically stabbing Biden in the back, right? And coming out and confirming that the right-wing conspiracy theories were correct, right? When we talked about how Biden would just wander off, right? And clearly he was losing his mind and people were telling us, nah, that's not true, right? That's not what's happening, except that's exactly what was happening. And then they're admitting that that's what happened, right? Again, it's so frustrating. It really is, okay? Because I just remember how much you were told that this is a conspiracy theory, right? Like this is not real. What we're seeing was not real. And there you have these Democrat operatives who are also responsible for covering up Biden's mental decline, coming out and profiting off of what happened during the Biden administration, right? They're stabbing Joe Biden in the back after they lied on Joe Biden's behalf, okay, to pretend as if he wasn't mentally declining, just to come out later and say, oh no, he actually was, right? This is exactly what was happening. And, it's just kind of crazy to me to see all the backstabbing that happens in the Democrat Party. They have no issues whatsoever throwing each other under the bus, for their own personal profit or career advancement. And that's what you're seeing. And this is why the Democrat Party is in shambles. They're a party full of narcissists who are more concerned about their own individual power and control rather than being honest with the American people, right? That's what they're concerned about. And that's why you see this happening, okay? Again, I just find this story to be extremely fascinating.
In a statement to CNN, Klain said the excerpts from the book distorted his meaning. He says, "I had no doubts then or now about the president's mental acuity. My point was that he was exhausted from travel and sick and overly focused on foreign affairs and detached from domestic policy." He says that Biden wasn't in the flow on the arguments of the campaign and was focused on Ukraine and Israel. I am not sure that is the defense that he thinks it is.
And here's the bottom line, having nothing to do with the excerpt. That special counsel who interviewed President Biden about why he had the files in his garage, I mean, his ultimate conclusion was basically Biden wasn't up, like he shouldn't be prosecuted out of sympathy. He's an elderly man. He's an elderly man who has a very bad memory and doesn't remember anything that happened.
Ashley, do you feel lied to?
Yeah, I do. I think I hadn't been around the president before that debate, and I worked for Joe Biden, and if the people around him knew that he was not capable, it is unacceptable to me that they allowed him to go onto that stage. I deserve better as a voter, not even as a Democrat, as a voter. And as
but what you gonna do about it though? Are you gonna continue to support the Democrats and shield on their behalf? Yeah, you are. So it's totally acceptable, right? Let's be real. It's totally acceptable for Democrats to lie to their voters like that, right? To lie to the American people about Biden's mental decline. It's totally fine, right? Just like it was totally fine when they overthrew democracy with their own party, right? And decided not to have a primary and to make Joe Biden step down and then to nominate Kamala Harris without anybody voting for her. Apparently, it is totally acceptable for Democrats to do anything to their voters. Doesn't matter what it is. Even, again, lie to them about something that is obvious, right? In regards to Joe Biden's mental decline. And they don't care. They don't care. But again, the question is, if they will lie about Biden's mental decline, even though it's obvious, even though it was obvious it was happening, what else will they lie about? Well, they lied about inflation. They lied about the border. They lied about crime, right? Again, they lie about everything, okay? And they're still lying today, right? A vast majority of the things that they're talking about, when they talk about the Republicans cutting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, lies. But you got these extremists out here who are committing acts of violence, terrorism, because of the laws of the Democrat Party. If a Democrat's mouth is moving, then they're lying, right? I mean, that's just the reality of the situation, okay? They've proven to the world that they will literally lie about anything, okay? And this is why this party, to me, I will never trust a Democrat, ever trust a Democrat in what they say, because they lied about Joe Biden, which means they will lie about anything.
an American. I do.
And I know that Joe Biden is a friend, but in this excerpt, the part about the pool, he went off, this is in the middle of debate prep, went off to the pool and he took a nap. And that was before the biggest debate of this campaign. That's not even the governance of the country. So Joe Biden, maybe he has the best intentions. I'm sure that you believe that. But the right decision, it seems pretty unequivocally, is that he should not have run for re-election.
Look, I was also just texting with Ron Klain, and who vehemently says he was taken out of context. I'll tell you my experience.
He wasn't taken out of context. He wrote that for a reason. He wrote that because he wants to sell his book as a tell-all, but at the same time, publicly, right? He does not want to come out here and say, yeah, that's the reason why I did it, right? That I'm trying to actually throw Joe Biden on the bus. Again, these Democrats are sneaky, bro. They're sneaky. I just could not be a Democrat. I don't understand how anybody can be a Democrat. They will stab you in the back and then turn around and say, no, I'm not stabbing you in the back, right? You don't understand. You took it out of context, okay? This excerpt about Joe Biden wandering off, not knowing what the hell is going on. No, I'm not trying to say that he was mentally declining. I'm trying to say something else. These people, again, they will lie about anything, right? It's crazy to me.
Just what I can talk about. I've known Joe Biden for over 25 years. Certainly, the Joe Biden today is not the Joe Biden of 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 25 years ago. It's not. But also, I will tell you, and I think that comes out also in the book and the excerpt that I read, something clearly happened that day, around those days, that was not the case the day after. I saw Joe Biden 24 hours after that debate here in New York. He was a completely different person. I saw Joe Biden when he came to The View after he dropped out, and he was a completely different person than what we saw at that debate. What happened around those days? I don't know. And can I tell you something? I don't care, because I want to talk about the future and how we fight Donald Trump and how we get rid of Donald Trump.
Yeah, I don't care. I want to talk about Trump, right? I don't care that the Democrat Party lied to the American people about something so obvious, the mental acuity of the sitting president of the United States, right? These are the same people boohoo whining crying about Elon Musk running the country, right? Even though Elon is not running the country, President Trump is running the country, obviously. But you're not concerned about who was running the country under the Biden administration? You weren't concerned about the fact that Biden was not mentally capable of running the country? You're not concerned about it? Oh, I want to talk about Trump. Nah, that ain't going to work. That's not going to work in this situation. That's not going to work. And Ana Navarro really should be ashamed of herself, because at this point, what is Republican about this woman? She continues to call herself a Republican. This is what she keeps saying.
To create himself into making himself into something
I'm not a Democrat.
different.
I'm a registered Republican.
Okay, well, let me ask
I vote
the
against
two
Ron
Democrats
DeSantis
that
in the
are here.
primaries.
You just don't like your elected leader right now.
I don't know. I don't like any of them.
Okay, but let me ask the two Democrats.
Yeah, Republican for pay only, because if she wasn't a registered Republican, if she could not run around and do the rhino grift, the never Trump grift, then nobody would care about what she has to say, right? She only is useful because I guess technically you could say she's a Republican voice, even though she is extremely liberal, progressive, really. She voted for Kamala Harris. I'm not entirely sure what is conservative or Republican about Ana Navarro outside of the fact that she's using that title to continue to get paid to speak on behalf of quote unquote Republicans, even though she's not, right? Again, it's a very annoying thing to me. This grift that Ana Navarro and Alyssa Fair Griffin are doing, I think is one of the most disgusting grifts that you can possibly do, because at this point, they're literally only Republicans for pay only. That's it. That's the only reason why they are quote unquote Republicans.
He was not a completely different person. He did the Stephanopoulos debate interview to try to save him. He did your show to try to save him. He just, he's the guy who's in his mid-80s. I'm not faulting him. He just wasn't the Joe Biden who was elected 4 years before.
He wasn't. He wasn't the one.
And his family should have pulled the plug.
I said that.
Well, they
His
should
own
have,
family
and so
should have
should
pulled
his
the plug.
advisors. I mean, talk about a big cover-up. I mean, we've been talking a lot about Donald Trump lately. I just want to ask a simple question. Who in the heck was running the country? If the president's mental acuity was in question and some days he's on and some days he's off, was the guy really capable of doing the job day to day? I honestly really question that. And I think a lot of Democrats who said at the time, oh, Joe Biden is the fittest guy in the world. He could do backflips. He could jump into the pool, run marathons, do 100 push-ups. When every freaking person who saw Joe Biden said, there's no one in hell this guy is physically fit. But they told us, don't believe your lying eyes because we're with him every single day. It wasn't true.
One more piece,
it wasn't true.
Just so people understand the other part of this. Ron Klain was talking about how Joe Biden seemed obsessed with what the world thought of him. Klain wondered, half seriously, according to the book, if Biden thought he was president of NATO instead of the U.S. Quote, he just became very enraptured with being the head of NATO. That wouldn't help him on Capitol Hill because, as Klain noted, domestic political leaders do not care what Macron and Schultz think. And he was running for re-election.
Here's what I will say. I try and be an honest broker when I talk about things on this show. And I do think that does not always happen with other guests. What we are
Present
learning...
company excluded, right?
Present company
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure.
What we are hearing right now is unacceptable to me, and I am a Democrat. And I think in order for this country to get back on the right track, when things like this are exposed, we have to call balls and strikes right and wrong. That night of the debate was terrifying for many, many reasons. It was scary. It hurt my heart, but it was very clear that might not have been the first time. And I find that unacceptable. I would find that unacceptable in a Trump administration, in an Obama administration, in a Bush administration, and in a Biden.
Why do you
All right,
think
we
that
gotta
it
leave
wasn't the
there.
first time?
We really have to leave it there.
Because you don't just fall off the cliff that quickly. It's a slow decline.
Facts. Right, facts. And I mean, we saw all of this happen leading up to the debate. The fact that these people were shocked about what happened at the debate, it really shows you their lack of judgment, to be honest with you, right? It blows my mind that you can have these people come on CNN, national television, to analyze politics when they miss the most obvious analysis, political analysis of all time, right? Like, I'm so serious. Like, this is why a lot of these people don't have any credibility, right? How can I find you as a credible person, right, when it comes to talking about politics, if you can't get something so basic as to recognizing Joe Biden's obvious mental decline correctly? Like Joe Scarborough. Dude said, hey, Joe Biden is the sharpest he's ever been. And if you don't believe him, then F you, right? F you if you don't believe Joe Scarborough, okay? The day after the CNN debate, Joe Scarborough should have been fired. He should have lost his job because there's nothing that can come out of his mouth that I can take seriously as a viewer, even though I don't watch his show, but I'm just saying anytime I listen to him talk or anything he says, like after he did that, right, and he talks to Biden personally, right, talks to Biden every single day, according to him, right? So this guy knows Biden personally and told the world, assured the world that Biden is the sharpest that he's ever been. Clearly wrong, okay? He either lied or he lacks judgment. Both are really bad, right? Fireable offenses. He still kept his job. And again, that's why a lot of these liberal media outlets, that's why they don't have credibility, right? Anybody on that panel that did not see Joe Biden's mental decline should not be on television talking about politics. I'm so serious. I'm so serious. And the fact that the Democrat Party lied about it, everybody lied about it, it means that Democrats don't have any credibility on anything, okay? Because if they will lie about that, they will lie about anything. And they have lied about everything at this point, okay? It's just crazy to me that you have these operatives coming out and confirming that the right-wing conspiracy theories were in fact true about Joe Biden, just so that they can make some money by backstabbing the Democrats, right? Kicking Joe Biden while he's down. That's what they're doing, right? It really just shows you how much of a dumpster fire the Democrat Party is at this point. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.